Welcome, I'm Coach Rob Wilby. I'm the head coach here at Team Oxygenaddict. If you're here because you're passionate about triathlon and you're dedicated to improving your performance, then pay attention because you're in exactly the right place. In this video series, I'm going to share with you some very powerful training techniques that you can use to help improve your triathlon performance at a much faster rate than you probably thought possible. I want you to think for a minute about your goal race for the upcoming season. I want you to see yourself turning up on race day morning totally confident that you're ready to achieve your goal. I want you to feel the certainty that you're ready to race because you know that you've trained as well as you can and that you've used your available training time in the most effective way. I want this video series to give you the tools and the understanding to plan your training year in the most effective way possible. I don't want you worrying that you should have trained differently, or especially that you haven't done enough training. And these are common worries from new athletes that I work with, and I want this video series to take those worries away. I'll share real-world examples of athletes just like you who've massively improved their fitness and race performances by training using these principles. I'll show you the facts and figures of how much they improved their fitness by, and show you the resulting improvements in their race performances. And most importantly, I'll tell you what training sessions they did to get those improvements. Now, these are normal people with demanding jobs and busy family lives, and if this sounds like a familiar situation, then the good news is that we've proved that it worked for them, and there's every reason to think it'll work for you too. So first up, who am I and why should you listen to me? I'm the founder and head coach here at Team Oxygenaddict. I've got a degree in sport and exercise science. I'm a British Triathlon Federation coach, coach educator and assessor. I'm a Training Peaks certified level 2 coach. My writing has appeared in places like 220 magazine amongst others, and I'm the host of the Cup of Tri podcast. I've also been a guest coach contributor on other podcasts as well. I've been a professional tri coach for the last 7 years, and in that time I've coached hundreds of athletes from total beginners all the way through to Ironman finishers, Kona qualifiers and World Championship age group medalists. So let's jump right in then and talk about the reverse periodization philosophy. Now, this is really turning the traditional approach to periodizing the year on its head. In traditional periodization, what we find is that we spend our winters doing lots of long, slow miles on the bike and the run, and then as race season approaches, we sharpen up by doing shorter, sharper training then. And that philosophy brings with it certain problems, notably amongst the fact that it doesn't really take account of the fact that most normal age groups only have a very limited amount of time for training, and the best way to spend that limited training time is not training easy all the time. It's to be extremely focused and do some hard work in specific places to get you as fit as we can in the best way possible. Now, for middle and long distance athletes, this has the benefit of doing your hard work during the winter and then doing your longer rides and runs as you get closer to your events. That's more specific to the events you're going to be doing. It's going to help you stay injury free. Rest and recovery is as important as the training that you're going to be doing itself, and that's going to be built in within this reverse periodization philosophy. And most importantly, it's going to help balance training with the rest of your life. Now, to talk about this philosophy, what we're going to do is break your year up into 4 chunks. I've called these 4 periods winter, spring, summer and autumn, and summer is going to be when your race phase is. Now, I've called them this because for the majority of people, your main goal race is going to be in the summer season. But if it's not for whatever reason, that's fine. Still think of these 4 seasons as effectively summer being the race preparation, spring being the block leading into that race preparation block, and winter being the time of year when you're going to be doing some extremely hard work on the bike, getting ready and prepared for the rest of the season. Following that, autumn is going to be a time of fun racing and using that fitness that you've built before having a rejuvenation period ready for the next year. So first up, we're going to talk about our winter block. Now, winter block is traditionally, the way I structure it, 2 blocks of 8 weeks separated by a week of recovery. We're usually looking at training for not more than 7 to 10 hours a week, and the key work here is our bike sessions on Tuesday and Thursday. Our biking is going to be intense interval sessions working at improving your functional threshold power on the bike. Now, if that phrase doesn't mean anything to you at the moment, that's okay. I can go into the education of that for you later on. But essentially, FTP is telling you how fit you are on the bike. And if we can increase that amount of power that you can put out at FTP, or the amount of power you can put out for a 1 hour session, you're going to be fitter and faster across all distances. So the key building blocks of our training plan here are these 2 sessions on the Tuesday and the Thursday as written here, in order to get you as fit as we can across an 8-week block. We have a 3rd bike session scheduled in here on the Saturday, and that's either going to be an outdoor ride of 2 to 3 hours or a focused indoor ride of 90 minutes if the weather isn't great. Your running during this time is going to be focused solely on improving the durability of your run-specific ligaments and tendons. So all of the running in this block is going to be easy or steady. And swimming here is mainly going to be focused on improving your technique rather than building volume. With a lot of our athletes, we only have them swim once a week, and they do the key swim that's scheduled here, you can see for Wednesdays, which is a mix of roughly 50% drills, which are really going to specifically address that athlete's stroke limiter, and the other half of the session is a solid pace work CSS session, and that's basically the same as FTP work for swimming, really working around your level that's going to bring you the best improvement in your fitness for the given training time. The next block we're going to look at here is going to be the spring block. Now in the spring block, this is going to be if you like, a linking block between the 2 really hard blocks you've done in winter and the 12-week race preparation block. So this block is going to vary in length between 4 to 8 weeks depending on when an athlete's race date is. Volume is still usually not going to be more than between 7 and 10 hours per week for any distance, even Ironman distance athletes. And key difference here is that we're going to slightly reduce the intensity of the biking. So rather than all the biking being at 100% of FTP, we're going to focus on doing some work at sweet spot, which you can think of as 90% of FTP if you like, and those intervals are going to be longer. So instead of in general the efforts being between 5 and 10 minutes long, we're going to be looking at efforts between 10 and 20 minutes long. And we're also going to have another block here of bike training where we're looking at improving your muscular strength on the bike with some big gear low cadence training. Again, we've got a 3rd session which can be either outdoors or indoors at the weekend. Still during this phase, our running is mainly steady or easy. We're going to gradually start increasing as we go through this block, adding in a little bit of intensity to the running, but we'll be doing that safely because after a 16-week block of winter preparation, you've now got extremely durable ligaments and tendons, and your body will be able to absorb that harder running or hill running without any danger, or with a much reduced danger of you getting injured. And swimming in the springtime, again, we're going to begin to safely increase the intensity of that swimming so that we can build on the fact that you've built yourself some decent swim mechanics during the winter. We can now start adding fitness on top of the fact that you've got a good technique. And then that moves us on to the summer block, or the actual race preparation block itself. This is usually a 12-week block. The intensities and durations of this block are going to mirror those of your goal race. So 70.3 and iron distance athletes, you're going to be going longer for relatively lower intensities. For sprint and Olympic athletes, you're going to now switch to doing higher intensity exercise at shorter durations to match that of what will be appropriate for the goal races that you're going to do. And again, you can see the overall plan is very, very similar here. This is a screenshot taken from our Ironman training plan. You can see we've got 3 bikes a week still, 3 runs a week, and in this particular week we've got a race simulation weekend scheduled on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So in the summer block we're going to start introducing brick sessions. They're going to become more frequent, although long runs off the bike are not necessary. I don't ever have my athletes running for longer than 30 to 45 minutes off the bike because that's all that's required regardless of distance. We'll build your specific runability in a separate session away from building it within a brick session itself. And for long distance athletes, the weekly training volume is going to increase during this phase to between 10 and 15 hours a week. Now, autumn becomes the post-race season where you can use that fitness you've built. You can go out and race as you see fit. You can have fun and do races of different durations. And at the end of the autumn block, we're going to schedule in a period of downtime. Now, that's rejuvenation so that you're ready to go in time for the next winter block. That can be anything from doing completely nothing or, going surfing, going mountain biking, stuff that keeps you active. But the key is here, you've got to mentally and physically be ready to start your winter training again, to do that preparation, because having been through a year of this, you'll realize that the real key building blocks here is the bike fitness that you've built during the winter block. Now, some common questions that we face with this approach. How am I ever going to get better at swimming if I don't swim 5 times a week? And I'm going to hold my hands up here. There's no question that you are going to improve your swimming faster if you can swim more, as long as you're doing that swimming with decent technique. But for what we've found for the majority of athletes is if they've got very limited training time, we need to take a step back and look at what's the best use of their overall training time. And we found that especially during the winter, the best use of their time is getting them as fit as we can on the bike, reducing the swimming that they're doing maybe down to once a week or maybe twice a week, and using that available training time in a way that's going to have the biggest impact on the overall race performance. Now, another question is, surely this isn't as effective as riding lots of base miles on the bike all winter. Well, that's not been our experience. We've shown that by increasing a rider's functional threshold power, when they transition to riding outdoors, even when they go for a steady ride, they're riding much faster for a given effort level, if you like. So by increasing their FTP during the winter, they've increased the pace and speed they can ride for any given effort. And another common question is, I'm not a very fast runner and I don't understand how I'm going to improve my running if I don't do any hard running in training. And the answer is that you're doing a lot of your hard cardiovascular fitness work on the bike. We can't then have you do extra hard work on the run as well, because there are only so many times you can go hard during a week. Your cardiovascular system, and by that I mean your heart and your lungs, are getting very fit because you're training hard on the bike. And if we can get your body to a place where you've got good durability for running, your ligaments and your tendons and your run biomechanics are in shape to allow you to go run. Once you go running to races in the springtime and you've got an increased cardiovascular fitness and a great durability in your body, you'll find that this has had a very positive effect on your running speed already. So to recap, the majority of age groups have got a very limited training time, and you need to balance other aspects of your life with triathlon. The winter days don't necessarily lend themselves to going outdoors, spending lots of time training, and so we want to get you to focus on the areas of biggest overall potential improvement relative to the time you've got available. And we think the best use of your training time, especially during that winter block, is to improve your FTP on the bike, to not get injured on the run, and to improve your technique on the swim. If you focus on those 3 key things, you'll end your winter in a really good shape to really kick off the next season's training. So we want you to focus on the areas of biggest overall potential improvement relative to the available time you've got for training. Now, this is a proven approach. With the athletes we've had this year, we've seen massive increases in bike functional threshold power, their swim CSS pace, and run PBs across all distances. And crucially, that's then translated into fantastic race performances, whether it's first-time finishes at Ironman and 70.3, or wins in age group and podiums, Ironman races, challenge races, ITU and ETU World Championships, and multiple qualifiers for Ironman World Champs and 70.3 World Championships. And in our next video, here's what you're going to learn. I'm going to show you specific swim sessions that will improve your swim, specific bike training sessions that will increase your functional threshold power, specific run sessions that will allow you to get fitter with a vastly reduced risk of getting injured, real world examples of the FTP power increases that our athletes have had following this plan, and case studies of Team Oxygenaddict athletes to show you how their races have gone once they followed these plans. And finally, in the meantime, what I'd like you to do is click like on the Oxygenaddict Facebook page so you don't miss when our next video comes out. If you've got any questions, pop them into the comments underneath this video and I'll answer them in the next video, or I'll answer them directly via email. Thank you very much for listening.